Hey, welcome back to Blanchy Talks Watches. Today we're going to be doing the full review of the timeless HMS 001. Quick wrist check first off. I'm wearing the Mitchell Timepieces Secograph. You will have seen this before on unboxing and review videos, but I actually decided to purchase it after, so it's mine to keep now, but I did have to pay for it. So we'll jump straight in. I'm going to try and keep this one short and try a bit shorter reviews to see does that help boost the numbers a bit. Okay, so I've been wearing this watch now for a few weeks and it is very, very nice. First thing you will notice, or at least that I did, is the guilloche effect on the dial. It is seriously well done and something you really don't see every day on watches. Nice to have features that aren't just out of the box, and this watch is full of them. Give it a quick wind because it's been sitting the past few days inside, so it's not ticking away, but there's 44-hour power reserve on this, which is quite good. That is because of the STP 111 Swiss movement inside. Unfortunately, it is behind a solid caseback, so you can't see it, but the caseback is nice enough, so you can see there engraving. You've got automatic Swiss-made 50-meter water resistance stainless steel A0020, which is the number, the actual number of this one, and then timeless there on the left. The crown is quite interesting on this one. It's something I haven't seen before. This is a three-piece crown. So you've got the black DLC on the outside, you've got the stainless steel in the middle, and then at the center point you have gold. Quite interesting mix of materials. I like the way they've continued that pattern across the watch. So you've got on the gear or cog in the center of the caseback on the crown, and then you see it there, the center of the watch. Now it's kind of hard to tell when it's just moving normally, but I'll put it into timestamp mode so you can see it. That inner cog is actually tied to the hour hand. So as the hour hand moves around, that also moves, which I think is very, very cool. Just adds an extra little bit of interest to the watch. It's something that, you know, at normal speed you won't see, but it's one of those things that when you look back at the watch after a few minutes, think something's different there, and I really like it. It took me a little bit to actually figure out it was moving, from wearing it, but yeah, it is a cool little feature. Another interesting feature is the way they've done the date. So you can see there at the 6 o'clock you've got the date wheel, which is, it's a gold colour which matches quite nicely with the hands, and then underneath you can see where it says date. Now it looks very clear there, but if I shift it so it's not in the direct light, the date, the word date rather than the numbers, kind of disappear. You can see it there, it catches the light. It's got the silver frame with date written, and then as it doesn't catch the light, all that disappears. I'm not too sure about that personally. Like I've said it plenty of times, I'm not the biggest fan of dates. I prefer them to be very minimalist. But it does add a bit of interest. So I'm torn between, I don't particularly like the full size cutout that they've used for it, but at the same time it's something a bit quirky, so I don't mind it too much. Personally, if I was in charge of it though, I would have had an even smaller cutout. See where the date, the numbers are, I would have had a smaller cutout again with smaller numbers, just out of the guilloche dial. Because the dial is so nice, I'd want to keep it as much as I could. And especially, you can see here the way the numbers are just around the outer, almost like the chapter ring, and where the actual date sits in that is quite high up. So if it was up to me, I would have just had the date cut out itself. I wouldn't have had the surround and then I would have put a 6 at the bottom of the dial as well. I mean, I understand why the 6 isn't there, it makes sense with the date, but I just feel that for balance, it doesn't sit quite right with me. I'm just not fully sold on the date as it is. That said though, it wouldn't put me off wearing this. It's a beautiful watch, and I do like the way they've really put the thought into it and had something different that's not, I don't want to say it's polarizing. I don't think it'd be polarizing. I think it's something some people will like, some people won't like, but I think people who don't like it won't be offended or put off getting the watch because of it. Some other nice features on this: the bezel with the divots, just something a bit different again. The nameplate on the side, HMS number 1 with the gold screws. Lovely satin finish on the case and the lugs. And the lugs as well have a ring of gold around them. Really helps with the premium feel of the watch, having the mix of materials. It is a premium watch. It's at a premium price. I think it's about €1,500. And yeah, I think it does have a lot of little touches that do help to justify the price. It is quite expensive for a micro brand, but it's not the only one. And for what you're getting specs wise, I'm going to say it is slightly expensive, but I think if you have the money in the budget to buy a watch for this price, I think this would be a serious contender. I'll put a link to their website and also to republictime.ie, who stock them too. And I know there is at times discounts, so you can check in with either of them and make sure you let them know that I sent you, especially republictime.ie. I have a good relationship with them, so if you are looking at buying any watch from them, make sure they know that I sent you. Okay, so the size of the watch. Okay, my trusty calipers. I believe it's 41.5 millimeters. Apologies about the lighting conditions. I'm filming during the day for once instead of at night. So it's coming in 41.5 millimeters. The crown then is 8 millimeters. Thickness is 13, and the lug to lug is 47. Strap width then is 22. Said it before, I love 22 because I have loads of 22 minute watches, and since I've started saying that, I've started getting a lot of 20mm watches in, so I need to up my 20mm watch strap collection. Okay, so we will try the watch on and see how it looks. There we have it. So for reference, my wrist is 7.25 inches. I've said many times that I believe 42 millimeters is my perfect size, so 41.5, it is right around that sweet spot. The fit and finish is very good in this, and I said it in my unboxing video, this buckle, when I unboxed it I was slightly disappointed by the buckle, because I feel like, especially at this price point, it'd be nice to have a buckle that is branded. Basically, I think it should be engraved. But this buckle is exceptionally comfortable. It sits perfectly. It keeps a nice low profile as well. And so if we're wearing it under a shirt or something, and just the way it sits against your skin is very, very comfortable. I would like to see some sort of branding, but if that changed how comfortable it is at all, I'd scrap it and keep it exactly as it is. So on the wrist, fits me very, very well, and I think it's a style that you could wear big or small. So if you had a much smaller wrist, even a lady's wrist, I think this would look quite elegant on if it was, an oversized watch. And also I think if you had a much bigger wrist, you could get away with it too. There is quite a bit left in the strap. 4 holes left, so you would fit it onto a much bigger wrist than mine, and I think it could definitely be carried out on a much bigger wrist or a much smaller wrist too. So as I said, the water resistance is 50 meters, so that means the crown is not screw down. Look, it's a dress watch, it doesn't need a screw down crown or great water resistance. And following on from that, it doesn't need loom, and it doesn't have loom. Anyone who watches the channel knows I love loom. and I like my lume on every watch, and I like it bright, but this really doesn't need it. This is a very classy watch. It's something you can dress up and dress down, so it'd be nice to have it, but this is certainly something that I could see myself wearing to events, and you mightn't want your watch shining too bright at a black tie dinner or something. But yeah, look, this is a very, very nice watch. Okay, so final verdict. I think this, as you can tell from watching the review, I think it's a very good watch. I really like it. It's not something I'd normally choose myself, both from a price point of view and from a design point of view. I tend to not go for too dressy watches, and not that this is too dressy, but like I said, there's no lume. Normally I don't buy watches without lume. But that being said, I've really enjoyed getting to wear this the last few weeks. It's kind of changed my perspective a bit on dressier watches. I think this watch would be a really, really nice addition to any collection, whether you're trying to expand your microbrand collection or trying to break into luxury watches. I think this is tiptoeing towards that line of getting into luxury watches at a €1,500 price point. It's not a cheap watch, it's not what would be classed as affordable, but I think the specs are there and the uniqueness is there as well. It's hard to find watches that are both very unique and very nice and well put together, because sometimes they can be unique for the sake of being unique, and this isn't that. The custom touches on this, from the lugs to the bezel to the hands and the central gear as well, to the date window, even down to the crown. It's clear a huge amount of attention to details been put into both the design and the assembly of this watch. So with that, it gets a big thumbs up for me. I think the guys over Timeless have done a very good job, especially for their first model. You have to remember, this is the first watch that Timeless have produced, and to produce something at this level of quality and detail as your first step into the market, I think is very, very good. And this is a brand to watch. I think we'll be seeing a lot more of these in the future. So look, let me know what you think in the comments. If you want to pick one up, check out Timeless's website themselves or republicofTime.ie. I'll put links to both in the description. And remember, if you're going to Republic of Time, let them know I sent you. I don't get anything from it, but you might get a bit of a discount off them. I have a great relationship with them. They let me review a lot of their watches. So yeah, have a chat with the guys. I'm going to leave it there. I'm trying to keep it super short, as I said. I think I've gone past the super short mark, but I did my best. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do like, comment and subscribe. It really helps me. And I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.